Should be working now. In the next 5 seconds or so, you'll hear me. See there? That was more than 5 seconds. See, now you got to watch it when you get home so you remember what I said. You want one? Go get one real quick. A little bit behind, that's okay. It's a while. What's really nice about that is afterward I can hit stop recording and then it will be recorded on YouTube. I won't have to take it home and edit it and do anything. It's just automatically uploaded. So that's why I like it. It takes a lot of work away. That's true. I mean, I'm not busy at all. Nothing else to do. I saw somebody pulling in. I'm just going to wait for a few more minutes. Yeah, we got a car there. Chuck, would you mind starting us off with a prayer?
God and our Father, we're thankful for this morning. Thank you, Father, an opportunity to study with fellow saints in your word. Father, as we examine the words you read for us, let us, Father, interpret these words that you have had us to. Not as we would make. Father, be with me to teach you this morning and the classes they teach. And please be open-minded, listen clearly, look at your word. Thank you, Father, for the many blessings of this life. Give us mercy and Jesus is our prayer.
Amen. All right. Okay. So last week we started in chapter 3. We kind of finished up the end of chapter 2 and then went into chapter 3. And that's what we're going to pick up on today. Going to keep going through there. These qualifications of elders and deacons. Anybody have any thoughts or questions from last week that we wanted to continue on or discuss?
I'll spend a little bit of time on the first verse of chapter 3. And I don't know exactly how I got to this thing, but reading this, if a man desires the position of a bishop, overseer, whatever it's translated to, I can see in my own department at work how we are plagued with people that desire the title of that, but not the position, which means the responsibility and the authority,
Yeah.
and even more character and leadership and example and that kind of thing. And so I was talking with a guy about this at work, and it just really kind of hit home, how people for their own, we work with people that really get their identity out of their position at work, and
Yeah.
it's like all consuming and that kind of thing. So it just kind of hit me how the difference is between position of and title of.
Yeah, it makes a lot of difference.
We got guys that have made certain positions in the department, and boy, it's not good. So for their own glory, I think comes the title, and to do things for other people and for the Lord in His position.
Which is why the qualifications are there, right? Because, yeah, I think it's pretty well known that people, like you said, I think that everyone that's probably ever had a job has seen what you're talking about, where people they want the title, and the stature, and the praise that comes with it, but they don't want to do the job. That happens. That happens a lot, especially out there in the world. And that's why, we have all these qualifications. It's a good thought. We kind of talked a little bit about desire last week. We kind of got off on that and chased that down quite a bit. Does anybody else have any other thoughts on that?
Going back, kind of into what Randy says, I think it's important. You should, if you desire to be an elder or an overseer or a bishop, you're basically the opposite of what the world thinks. You're not desiring for that title, that position. You're basically desiring to be a better servant. You're basically desiring to humble yourself and be a servant to others rather than be a lord over them.
Right. Yeah, I think it was you that used the kind of the analogy last week of getting up early to take your kids to school or something like that, or go to work or whatever it was. You're like, I don't necessarily desire to do that, but I do it. And I think that's true. There's a lot of things. I was thinking about this, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of hard things that overseers and elders have to do, like we talked about last week. Definitely difficult things that you think you wouldn't necessarily desire to do those. And I was kind of trying to think about that in the same way as raising children, right? We all should want our children to have the desire for our children to grow up and be productive citizens, to be Christians, not for them to end up in jail, right? what does that require? A lot of the times, most of the time, seems like lately for me. Discipline, right? Is that, I don't desire to discipline my kids, but what is it? Is it for the better good, I guess, right? Does it accomplish an end goal that should get you closer to where you want to be? So, I don't know. I was just thinking about that a lot over the past week. I think we all should think about that. About how, yeah, sometimes things aren't going to be fun or easy. You may not want to do them, but in the end, if doing those things gets a person or a group of people closer to God, then that's a good work, right? I don't know. I'm interested to hear any thoughts on that. I wanted to also say that I wasn't trying to say last week that if you don't desire to be an elder, there's something wrong with you. My point was, maybe you should just examine it and just try to figure out what are the reasons. And if you're needed and your reasons aren't, that great. I mean, maybe some people just feel like they might just use it as an excuse. Just make sure that that's not what people are doing or what you're doing. I would say that to myself, but it's just a thought.
Comment on that is that just because you desire does not mean you can be.
Oh, absolutely.
So
That's true.
Go to another step from what you said.
Mm-hmm.
But this, looked at it a little bit more. This 3:1 basically has to do with two things. This is mine. This is
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, I know you can read a lot of other commentaries, talk to other people. Everybody's going to disagree. This is the way what Randy and Donnie said is exactly true. But what this seems to appear is Paul is saying that the man, basically, this is like you hold out your hand, you're letting it be known that you would like to be working towards an elder, and that the congregation helps you in that, and also this word desire or aspire, not that aspire, something
Yeah.
aspire, is that that's what you're working towards. In other words, it's kind of like nothing's going to stop you. Your desire is to, if you, just like Randy was saying, and Donnie was saying, there's a difference between having the title.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm going to do the work, and I'm going to show, and I'm going to prove myself, and I'm going to
Right.
grow, and I'm going to do whatever is necessary to make the qualifications of God is set down through. So it separates itself from other scriptures to me, like we were talking about last week. But it's a reaching out and this is your priority.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what it appears to be saying.
Yeah.
Not that they're qualified. at
Just
that
because,
time,
no,
that-
right.
That their desire is, I'm reaching out to the congregation, saying, I want to be this, help me be this, and I'm going to do everything that I can.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So I think that's enough on that. Unless y'all have anything else, we'll move on. And now this is going to be fun. So we're going to go through these, and we're just going to talk about them one-on-one, and we'll just kind of chase down what we want to chase down on this. But we could get bogged down in this for as long as you want, probably. So let's just get into it. And I think we read it last week, but let's go ahead and read it again. Somebody read. We just read 1, so let's go ahead and read 2, chapter 3, 2 through 7. And we'll go through them each one at a time after that. Randy, would you read that, please?
A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, temperate, sober-minded, of good behavior, hospitable, able to teach, not given to wine, not violent, not greedy for money, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not covetous, one who rules his own house well, having his children in submission with all reverence. For if a man does not know how to rule his own house, how will he take care of the church of God? Not a novice, lest being puffed up with pride, he fall into the same condemnation as the devil. Moreover, he must have a good testimony among those who are outside, lest he fall into reproach and the snare of the devil.
All right. So what's the first thing we read about? Let's go through. Let's verse 2. The first half of verse 2. Let's go over that first. First, I think it's interesting that it says in 2, what's it? He must be, right? What does that mean to you? If I say you must be employed, what does that mean? Does that mean that you have been employed once? Right. Just trying to get this point across. Because it's not past tense, right? Present tense. Be. Okay? Above reproach or without blameless? What does that mean? Is anybody ever just completely blameless? Does that mean that he's got to be completely sinless? That's right. Has it got to be perfect? What does it mean?
I had heard someone describe it like this one time. It made more sense than anything I've ever heard on this. If something were to happen and your name came up as the guilty party, people should say about you, "I just can't believe that Chuck would have done something like that." That has to be your reputation, is that you're just blameless. Doesn't mean you weren't guilty, but that's the type of person you need to be. That people just don't think that you're doing something.
I think that is probably right. And to go along with that, if you were to slip up and do something, that you would be the first one to admit it, right? You would be the first one to repent of that. Right? I mean, if somebody comes to you repentant of something that they've done or apologizing, or if you know somebody has done something wrong and they know it too, and but they already beat you to it and admitted, yeah, I mean, I did it wrong. It was wrong, but I'm not going to do it anymore. I changed. Are you able to just completely I think the world does it today, but should we say, just keep on that person and grind them into the ground for what they've done?
Every Christian who is walking in the light is blameless.
Yeah. So that's a interesting thing, right? It's good that we go over that. All right. Any other thoughts on that? Just wanted to get the point across. That doesn't mean sinless or perfect, because we all know that that's not possible. They're still human. They're not superhumans, right? All right, now we get to the fun one. The husband of one wife. All right. Now this was the one we could probably chase down for weeks. And after studying this for a while. I'm curious to know what everybody else has heard about this. So what does this mean? Ready, go. That's one that, yeah, right. Yeah, there's several. Okay, so, and there's one here that I learned recently that I didn't even know about. Apparently, there's some groups that say that this means that one who is not remarried after his wife died. And I had never heard that one before, but apparently that came in. I think I was reading last night around the 2nd or 3rd century when it started to become popular to say that leaders in the church should be unmarried. Which is why Catholics have the Pope and there are people like that that they say that they shouldn't be married, right? Yeah, right. And we'll, like I say, we'll go over all these if you want to. In what way? Like polygamists? From what I read and studied.
Why would it not say marriage instead of leaving it so broadly open?
Yeah. Well, that word's not. That's interesting.
Husband of one wife.
Yeah. And
I mean, to me, it's almost saying, one wife, not necessarily that you're almost like one at a time.
And from what I studied on that, and Ernie, I trust Ernie's study on this too. From what I could tell, that polygamy wasn't a big deal at that time. But so I don't know. That's kind of what they said is from what I was studying is, but that's probably not what he was pushing here. But all obviously intended. That polygamy is obviously wrong. So that would definitely be one of the reasons that it was stated that way. So,
One thing it rules out is women.
well, that's obvious, yeah. Well, yeah, that is true.
I just like to say that I've been in quite a number of, before I came here, quite a number of discussions about it. In my opinion, selection of elders is very, very, very important. I mentioned that on Wednesday night.
Mhm.
Restored it to the meeting. I didn't believe in elders. It had nothing to do with that. Okay. But these qualifications here for a reason. Now, in almost every one that I've been involved in, it depends on who is put up with elder, how they are used.
Yeah.
That has split a lot of,
Yeah.
a lot of heartache, split a lot of congregations. You have to use the above reproach, husband or wife, you have to use all of these.
Right.
Faithful children,
Yep.
you have to use all of these with the strictest sense or not with the strictest. You can't say,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, well, he's been divorced 5 times, and so once he had, and say, well, no, he's only got one wife now, and you either it's gotta be all one way or not. And what we do is depend upon
The person.
person.
Yeah.
We go up and down on it, Oh, no, that doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
Oh, above reproach, no, that doesn't mean that, And when you look at above reproach, for instance, you may be able to, here's what I've always said, that if any of these can be used as a handle against you or the church, whether you believe he's qualified or not, it should not be. I mean, for instance, let's just say someone had a drug, very criminal type life, and all of a sudden he's changed. Well, the people in that community obviously knows who this person is, and he probably would never, in my opinion, would probably never qualify, even though he may be the most perfect person, because the outside world looks into the church and says,
Right.
well, he's a criminal.
That kind of goes to the last,
You know what I'm saying?
last thing
Now,
mentioned
he
on,
can
yeah,
move, he can move and where they don't.
Maybe,
know
yeah.
him and change things.
right.
Okay, but I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is, you, all of them should be treated in the same.
Exactly. Agree. Because I mean, we don't want to play this game of, and the phrase, the thing that you used is "I think," or "we think." Well, I think it's just, we don't. When we get into that territory, it gets, we get dangerous territory.
There's many of these qualifications that are subjective to the person's judgment.
Well, that's true. That's, I think, why it's important to have.
I think there's some that are not subjective.
Yeah. Well,
Having said that, I would say that the husband or the wife doesn't sound very subjective to me.
yeah. Yeah. But you'll find people that will definitely, there's arguments all over the place for different stances on that.
I've heard your argument, right? Selection of elders.
I'm sorry.
You said you hadn't heard about
Oh, yeah. And
the death, and I've heard that.
you have.
Oh, yeah. I've been
So they shouldn't be married is
because
that's,
I've sat where the people have argued that, have argued divorce, have argued polygamy, have argued a lot of things. For this one verse. It can't
Wow,
be
yeah.
everything.
no, it can't.
You know, I mean,
Right.
even Paul said in Romans 7, that once the one has died, then the other was free.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, so we don't, but the thing about it is what I've heard is the person, they don't want that person in there, and they said, well,
Yeah.
you know, he's had two wives. Well, one's dead and one, you know, he's remarried, which legally, biblically is okay,
Right.
but they'll use that if they don't want that person in. On the other hand, they won't use it if somebody has the same example and they want that person. That's what I'm saying.
That's a, yeah.
You gotta do this all the same, or you know.
You can't have a sliding scale
Exactly.
depending on who you are.
Exactly.
Well, we do. I mean, like what Randy was saying, we use that. That's what the world uses for jobs a lot of time. Well, he doesn't have this qualification, but he's really not qualified for this job. But because, you know, for whatever reason, we'll promote him to that, and just hope that it works out. That's not the proper way of doing it, and it wouldn't be the proper way of doing it here. I'm sorry, Chuck. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I'd like to think that we're pretty strict minded people when it comes to articles of salvation. And if this is not an article of salvation, but if it were, I would think we'd put the same criteria on this as we would, say, baptism or some other subject we might be discussing, that we would evaluate it the same. So Scripture bluntly says this, and we ought to bluntly do that.
Yeah.
And the safest way to evaluate that is to literally take it at face value.
Right. And that's, I'll be honest, that's the way I lean. And I know, like what Ernie said, if one's been divorced scripturally or the person has died, then they're free to remarry, right? So, but is that included in this verse? Do those people qualify? And that's where there's a lot of arguments on that. So you'll have to study that on your own and see. I'd encourage you to go and look that up and see what you think on that. So
I was really hoping you were going to give us the answer to that question.
I'm not gonna stick my neck out there. I'll give you what I think.
That's why you gain that.
I gave you what I think.
Well,
But-
the older the congregations is, nobody's divorced, the death is usually not that big a deal. So nobody divorced, it doesn't matter for what reason. Nobody divorced. They think this eliminates that. Well, if you give the reason for it, I don't think it eliminates it. But the thing about it is if it could be used as a handle, in other
Yeah.
words, let's just say half the congregation just doesn't want that person because they believe it doesn't. It should be, but the guy's supposed to be a leader.
Right. Right.
You can't meet someone
Who resents you being in that position in the first place.
yeah.
Right.
exactly.
It kind of goes back to above your approach, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's why I say you do the same standard. I don't have a problem either way, as long as we treat all of
Yeah,
them the same.
absolutely.
That's
That's-
all.
You know, consistency is something that's really important, I think. And we have a hard time with that, I think, a lot of the time, is
Unless
just
you're
remaining
consistently
consistent.
wrong.
Well, yeah, that's true. Hey, but you know what? Even then, I have more respect for a person that's consistently wrong than wishy-washy and doesn't understand. Because at least you're sticking to your guns, you know.
Along the lines of what Amy was saying, I attended a congregation one time which there weren't, official elders or whatever. But there was this one, and it was kind of like this church, there were definitely men that took on a lot of those roles and did well, but then there was this family again and this like that. He just moved himself into that role, made himself that kind of because he was just that type of personality and all. But because there was no formal leadership in the church, nobody did anything about it.
Mm.
Everybody kind of despised him over it.
Yeah.
But so in a way, you have to have people that are willing to stop that situation from young.
Your point is well made, because that's why these qualifications are here. There's elders that allow that to happen.
Yeah.
I've seen it. There's a lot of elders I know right now that, in my opinion, I'm saying earnestly,
Uh-huh.
reading these, that should not be there.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even have the qualifications, let alone the leadership.
Right. And that's why, it's so important for us to know these and study these and for congregations to know what these are, and before people are just thrown up there, because it's a job. It's something that you have to do, and it's really important. It's something that they shouldn't be taken lightly. It shouldn't just be so you can say, well, we have elders, right? It's not just,
But you'll be surprised how many congregations feel like you gotta have elders, but you're not a congregation.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
there's a reason for this right here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
If nobody in there meets these qualifications, if nobody has, in
Yeah.
my opinion, we talk about desire, whether you want to say it's part of qualification or not, you might not have it. What's all?
yeah, I would say that's probably true. I mean, because I'd say that's definitely true. If you put somebody in there that doesn't meet these qualifications, then
In the case of divorce, is it important to know why they're divorced?
yes.
Or we just say, there's divorce, because you were kind of general a minute ago when you were talking about that. And to me, yeah, it's very important.
Yes.
To know why they're divorced.
Yes.
Well, there's arguments there, but the scriptures at least have, in Matthew 19, have the reason why a divorce is scriptural. Okay? If you don't meet that, then we have nothing else in here that basically tells us that there's another reason why they can't. Now, there's arguments when you look at 1 Corinthians and Romans, you can kind of, looks like a woman is not bound in 1 Corinthians. There's some arguments, other arguments there. You look at Peter about the unbelieving and believing staying together. But there's only one reason that is explicit in the New Testament for divorce. Okay? And so let's just say there are other reasons. Let's just say there. I'm not saying there are. Let's just say there that we've come to the conclusion after a big discussion there are 2 or 3 other reasons. The Bible doesn't say that, and so you don't want something that will be a handle,
Mhm.
or you may be doing something totally wrong. Maybe that's the only flaw that we can find in that person. See, I'm divorced, okay, and I said I wouldn't be an elder. I will never be an elder, even though I'm 110% for me feel like it's scriptural. but I would be one because I wouldn't want someone coming in saying, oh, well, he's important. Because that's an argument of qualification that doesn't need to be. And therefore, I'm afraid that my leadership in the congregation would be hurt, it would cause problems. And so an elder, to me, someone who wants to be an elder will go to the strictest sense and not, I could move someone else, somewhere else, and they would never know that I was divorced. I wouldn't have to say it, and it'd probably never be a problem. But I
But
wouldn't
if
do
that,
that.
if it's for that explicit reason in the Bible, how could it be an argument?
Right.
There's nothing to argue about.
Well, that's the whole point, but there is.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, there's always the safe way to take it, that's what the Bible says.
And that's,
There's
yeah,
always, I've always said, I've never heard anybody else say it, I always said there's a right way and a wrong way, biblically they're the same. And if you always take the safe way, whether you're right or wrong, if you take the safe way, you're okay.
Well, it's kind of like the whole, eating the meat off of the idols that they did.
Yeah.
Upsets other people,
Right.
or they interpret that, it's kind of the whole,
Exactly.
how people outside interpreting your divorce, regardless if their interpretation is right, but it's.
yeah. And look, we keep going to, I think what Ernie is, what's interesting is that last, verse 7. That's an interesting requirement to me. That we inside the church are going to be interested in what those outside think. Isn't that? That's kind of an interesting requirement to me.
That's really above reproach thing.
Yeah.
It has more to do with outside the church than inside.
It ought to be.
They know you inside the church pretty much, but they don't know. Like I said, they knew me as a convict.
Mm-hmm.
Church probably would say, well, he's okay now. I mean,
Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
he served. But still, there's a whole group of people outside that would hold that handle against the church.
Right. So it's an interesting study. I knew that was going to take, I knew we were going to get one verse into this and it would take the whole time.
But he asked a good question.
That is an excellent question. It is, yeah. I agree. And like I say, we could chase that down. But just go through some of these notes that I had here on that. Not a polygamist, which we agree with. That's I don't think you would get very many arguments against that. I would sure hope not. Well, you would in Utah, but let's not talk about Utah.
The other argument on that one too, that since it mentions the husband of the wife, then he must be married.
Absolutely. Yes. But there's people that argue the other way, which is what I said the first time. They say, well, he can't be actively married. That means that when she died, but that can't be it, because what do we say about be? Must be, right? Actively married. I think that's a big one. Now, what if he's married?
It talks about the women in there too.
Yeah.
The woman of the elder, so you can't
Right.
really about that.
If he's married, he's an elder, and his wife dies. What do you do?
To me, at face value, at face value, to me, that looks like a witness.
But then we have later on, like what Chuck was saying, description of the wife, right? All right. We'll get there. And a wife can't be those things if she's not living. Right. So I think that word be must be the active, the active present tense. For me, must be married. So that's pretty much all I've got down here.
Which one you on?
Same one. We didn't move on. I was just saying that I think that means that obviously it's not a polygamist and must be married.
All right, you want me to throw understand?
Absolutely.
So, if we install an elder that's married, after a few years, wife dies.
I mentioned that. I mentioned that.
Said that way, well.
Yeah.
You're out.
But we haven't answered it, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, here again, to me, you'll hear a lot of them say no, it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it already proved itself. That's not what that
It's
says.
active.
If that which qualifies one is the same thing that disqualifies one. And in my opinion, if he's not, we talked about the dead, he no longer has a wife.
Exactly. Right.
Okay? If you no longer have a wife, it doesn't matter if you've been an elder for 20 years and you're the best elder in the world. If don't have a wife, to me, it disqualifies. That's why I say, we
I agree.
either do it all the strictest sense and do what it says, or we don't. And this is one of the arguments that you have. Well, husband and wife doesn't mean that, because he's already proven it.
And as he's only had,
That's what it says.
and you get into the argument of, he only had one wife. Well, that's not what it says, like you're saying.
There's duties that must be performed as an elder that requires a wife.
Well, I think hospitable, a lot of those things. And they say, well, he can be hospitable without a wife. Well, you don't, when a couple comes in,
Be hospitable to a woman. I mean, think of the problems that would create.
Yeah, if the other job is to go and visit people's homes and stuff, and suddenly these single men are going.
Right.
to-
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting ready to say. When you have couples come in.
Yep.
Invite them into your house, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
exactly, y'all are right, you know. So, in my opinion, I would argue if we had elders here and they did remarry, I wouldn't say that they have to be knocked out the first day, but if it was me, I was an elder, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say no, until I remarry, I will not. I'll let this thing down. That's what I would say.
Yep.
But I mean, you know, there's a period of time you gotta grieve, do some
Mhm.
things, you know. But, to me, if somebody is totally qualified, if somebody in the strictest sense goes by this, which I would, if it was me, I would feel like I was not qualified.
Yep.
This is one of those, at least you're saying, there should not be an argument. To me, there should not be an argument on everything of these, that there is.
Oh, yeah. There definitely is. Yep. I mean, that's what,
That's Ernie, I give you my.
I would agree. So, any other thoughts on that? We are out of time. We can revisit this next week. Like I said, we'll keep going through this list, but it's fun. You get out there and start looking at there's endless number of rabbits you can chase with this, it seems like.
Well,
But
there's been a lot of, I've said this 3 or 4 times already, but there's been a lot of churches that separate.
Yep.
It'd be like me putting church name up. And half the congregation one and half the congregation not.
Yeah.
Me fighting for one and them, there shouldn't be that kind of.
Right.
You know, and Chuck would probably, I doubt if he's even interested in that, he never had been. But what I'm saying is that those that are for Chuck will leave because they're mad. You know, oh, you just don't like Chuck. You don't. It
Mhm.
doesn't have anything to do with like it, dislike it. It has to do with Holy Spirit and qualifications.
yep, I agreed.
Some of these arguments kind of remind me of these abortion people. They'll say, well, how about the case of incest?
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Numerous number of what ifs. Thanks for your thoughts.